So yummy. Back to my morning coffees that taste so deliciously scrumbly-umptious. um, I hope everybody's doing well. I, again, feel amazing. Okay, see, I got my hair did. By the way, my niece Destiny does hair. If you ever need your hair done here in Albuquerque, let me know. She does quite a phenomenal job on hair. So starting, I feel 100% better. Of course, as I said before, been an amazing few. It's been an amazing. Good morning, Betty. An amazing few weeks. Super excited. And on my personal page, been talking about goals and how to strive towards goals and what goals mean. Good godly day. Yes. And I'm excited about that because new goals means new me, means a whole new shift in life. It's like shedding the old skin. And I think I talked about that the other day. It's almost like a snake sheds its skin and then it sort of steps into something new. It's like the phoenix. The phoenix burns to ashes, rises up into something new. And so I'm super excited about that, and to get that going. And so I have a bunch of health and nutrition goals that I'm working towards that I'm excited about. So there you go. Get myself strong again. Um, so wanted to sort of talk about the dark emotions and the alchemy of dark emotions and how to overcome dark emotions and what that means. I can tell you right now that in my program, my master's program, some amazing individuals in my master's program that are also working and striving towards the same goals, and looking at how do you balance that emotional state of mind in order to co-create. And so yesterday, talking about the consciousness and sort of bridging the gap between the two and the new paradigm in terms of the quantum realm and how quantum physics has changed the way that we have conducted life. It has changed technology. I mean, we don't even know the implications of what it's done, right? We have a particle accelerator that has, who knows what it's done. We don't understand. There's things that we'll never understand, I don't think, fully in the quantum realm, because it's just this weird thing. But how do you take that quantum realm, and that's what I was talking about yesterday, and move your goals forward? Because that's really what it is. It's a gap between this sort of thought idea and the physical world actually manifesting as we see it or think of it, right? It's like how we think it should be how it is executed, right? How we do it, how we put action to it. Now, emotion itself is a driver of action. It supports us in moving forward in action. But people who stay stagnant, right, in emotional states of being tend to not have action behind it. And because they're not having the action behind it, they get stuck. And if they get stuck, it's typically that they're what? They're experiencing anxiety or depression or whatever it is that they're experiencing. And so action is what drives us into this sort of this next level. Good morning, Mel. Lyrical laxatives. Sorry, tell me what that means, Mel. I don't know if you're on here still. That's funny. Sierra, automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, funky, fresh. That's what I think about. Rock it, don't stop it. Everybody get on the floor. I really like Sierra. Sierra. That's the name of our podcast. That's cool. That's cool. It's like a shitty karaoke. Oh, and I just did some shitty karaoke. That's kind of funny with Sierra's name. So that's cool. Thank you for letting me know. Does anybody get on and do the karaoke? If that's the case, I will follow you and get on. Just listening while I walk. I love your show. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I love you. Um, but if you do shitty karaoke with a guest that call in, I would totally call in and do shitty karaoke for you. I might do hit a couple of good notes actually. Probably feel like I would. Okay. Good morning, Minu KP4. How you doing? Um, okay, so let's continue going. So the manifestation, how do we get our goals, moving? How do we take the thought process? So we know that in our mind, right, there's this sort of intangible thing, right? And I've been talking about this for a while. Um, Call in and read love it. Okay, I'm gonna do that. So follow lyrical laxatives. Okay, I'm gonna do that, and I'm certainly gonna call in. Give me the times. I don't know if there's times there, but I would love to call in and sing. I think that would be so fun. Um, Sorry, I keep going off track, but it's because I want to sing now. I feel like I want to do a shitty karaoke session for you guys right now on Spirit and Coffee. I love music, by the way. Okay, woo, squirrel. It's one of those days. Saturday, PM. Carry on. Awesome. You're like, please, Natalie, get to what I'm here to listen to. We already take care of the karaoke. Okay. Um, Now we have this tangible thought in our head, right? And I mean, intangible thought in our head, or we have this sort of stew or soup that's brewing in our head and in our minds, and we have these ideas and we can't really touch them. And we're like, how do we take this thought, make it a tangible thing? That's really the process of manifestation. I know that most people say, oh, our thoughts create, and yeah, they do, but there's action behind it. Our thoughts then will give us some sort of an emotional response. Typically, if it's something that you're enjoying, it's going to give you some excitement, and that excitement then becomes the divine will that sits in our solar plexus, right? The solar plexus allow us to use the fire energy. And what I love about the fire energy, its divine will, is to move us in action. Here's the deal: we don't want to burn the fire so high that we totally burn out all the water in us, and that's the emotional states. So sometimes people can become overdrivers, right? And what does that mean? Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Yo Yo. Overdrivers meaning that we focus on our goals so much that we forget the emotional states. That becomes like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have time for you, I don't have time for this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. We want to learn or not, it's totally up to you, how to play in the both and. How do we utilize both? How do we utilize both the emotional states and then the fire energy that comes up within us? And I love the way that and this is an alchemic process, but I love the way that one of my spiritual teachers told me. She's like, look, you don't want your fire so high that you evaporate all your water, and you don't want your water so high that you drown out the fire. So you're sort of brewing a tea, okay? How do you brew a tea internally to make things nice and neat and so that our goals are actually being accomplished, right? This is the trick, and that's the alchemic process that's happening internally. Fire energy, again, being our divine will, the ability to want to move forward. Sometimes it is ego, and ego is not all bad if we learn how to utilize it, right? Everybody has one, we all have it within us. But it's recognizing how to utilize the ego to drive us in the direction that's going to support us. And it's okay to have ego because ego is a part of everything, right? Um, it's just to recognize how we're utilizing it or redirecting the energy of the ego. And sometimes it can be our greatest ally when we're working towards something important. So, looking at that energy internally, well, what does it feel like for you, right? Because it's not a tangible thing again. It's a feeling, right? It's almost like when we burn out the water. So here's how it looks. When we burn all of the water within us, we end up having a hot head because the fire then rises from the belly up to the head. And you'll see it in cartoons. They do a very great depiction of this. They over exaggerate um, those states, and they were telling us something in cartoons. And I think like Looney Tunes, or I don't, maybe I'm dating myself, I don't know what, I'm sure you guys know what those are, because I'm sure the audience is around my age. But Looney Tunes was around for a long time, where they basically would go and the head would come out, and we'd see steam first, right? And then it'd be like fire, right? The steam being the emotional, the water that's evaporating within us. We don't want to get the heat so hot that it ends up in the head and we end up with a hot head. In other words, we want to be able to keep the heat in our belly, in our solar plexus, and that heat and that motivation that we're brewing, which is like a tea. We're brewing a tea, or if you want to brew a coffee, whatever you want to brew in your belly, you brew that energy to drive you forward. So the steam becomes sitting in the belly like a tea that sort of drives your vessel forward. So if you saw yourself, I'm not going to say we're machines, but if you saw yourself like a machine and it was a steam machine, you would put the fire just enough to get you to move. The action within you. But if you overdo the heat, right, you're going to burn out. And of course, you're not going to be able to go anywhere. Right? But if you put too much water, again, the same thing will happen. It's like the fire will go dead, and then you'll be cold in the middle of nowhere. So either one can happen. So it's learning the internal process within you. What does it feel like? What does fire energy feel like in you? What does it mean to have fire energy within you? What does it mean to have the divine will and the ego working together? It's not a matter of overpowering one over the other. It's a matter of finding the balance between the two. It's a cosmic dance between the two. Everything internally, and if we see it, because there was sort of these clues, I would say, that spiritual teachers gave us, like Buddha, right? Find the middle path. What does that even mean? Okay, so does that mean that there's two forks in the road and that I gotta create a middle road that's not even there? Perhaps that's what it means. But what it means internally is that we sort of have the dualities sort of tricking us, that they play, right? Even again in the quantum, good morning Grace, in the quantum realm, when we look at the quantum and then we look at the material world, right, it too says that there is this sort of polarity that's happening, but they're part of the same whole. So if we saw consciousness, or if we saw life as the same whole, kind of like a spider web, right? I've talked about that before, just being this big spider web, but almost feeling like it's not interconnected because it seems so far out there. But really it's not. It's part of the same whole. That the consciousness itself is part of the same whole. So the dualities, right? The two things that come together, the dualities, are the ebb and flow, is the balance between the two. How do you balance the quantum, and how do you balance the material? Because when you start to focus on the material, you tend to lose the quantum. And when you start to focus on the quantum, you tend to lose the material. So this happens too with spiritual teachers. Spiritual teachers sometimes, and spiritual practitioners, stay stuck in the ether. I've seen this happen even with friends of mine, where they want to be stuck in this spiritual realm and forget that we have this 3D dimensional time space that we're in. Like, we have a body in this material world. And then there's people who forget that we have this spiritual world, or this quantum world, or whatever you want to call it. I say spiritual, right? Where there's this untangible thing happens, like thought, right? So when we bridge the gap between the two, and we're able to synergize and sort of dance through it, it's like a dance. We're using a both and. We're not trying to overpower one with the other. We're just trying to do a small dance. We don't want the dance to be so huge, right? Because if it is, then we're living in one extremity or the other. And if we do that, if we're living in one extremity or the other, we lose grasp of the other, and then we're unbalanced. And we sort of fall on our face, kind of. I mean, this happens, like, think about it. People who are drivers, which I'm almost sure that everybody on here is a driver. I could be wrong, but I'm going to make that assumption. Unless I'm wrong, you guys can say I'm wrong. It's okay. But I would say drivers tend to burn out. They go and go and go and go and go and go and they lose steam. I mean, we use these words and don't really realize where they're coming from, right? We're like, we lost steam. Well, what does that even mean? People, oh, well, my steam engine's gone, I'm done. But really what it is that we've lost the connection to our emotional states because we were so focused on what we were doing that we forgot to tend to the emotional parts of ourselves. And this is common in life today that we do that because it's like work, 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 go, 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 do more. We want more, we want more, we want more, we want more. And before you know it, and then it's like, oh, don't be emotional. You're crazy. Emotional people, this, that, the other. Well, we need both. We need that intangible feeling, and we also need the tangible results that we get based on these emotions because the emotions are the driver sometimes. They give us the ability to move and have action and be passionate about things. Notice, like for instance, a job that you have. Maybe you're at a job and you're doing your job, and when you first started, you had this excitement, right? There was this emotional state of being, this essence that rose up within you, where you were like, yes, right? It wasn't a tangible thing. You can't touch excitement. It's an intangible thing. It's an experience, an internal experience that happens, and you're starting to work, 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 and then it's mundane, and it's just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and you're getting bored. And then before you know it, there's the emotional state is just numb, right? It's like I'm just gonna go in and get what I gotta get done, and I'm going to focus on the task, and I'm not even going to tend to the fact that I feel unhappy. I'm going to pretend as though it doesn't exist. I'm just going to shut it down. And then we continue to go over and over and over and over and over again doing these things, and then down the road, because we didn't tend to our emotions, we get sick. So it's learning to tend to those emotions, and it's learning to tend to the physical realm of that and what it looks like on the physical. If we're getting bored and maybe things are mundane, and it's like your emotional state is like this, I don't get any joy out of this, I don't even know how to tap into that feeling, could be a time for a change, right? And sometimes we don't want to accept that it's time for change because it's hard. It's hard to change. It's hard to accept change that comes to us. And so sometimes we're just like, well, I really, I don't want to change. I don't know how to change. I don't know what to do. I don't even, it's better for me to numb myself and just go with the flow than to actually look at the emotional states. And why? Because we were never taught to look at the intangibles. It's like if the intangible feels good, if your emotional state feels good, then good. But if it feels bad, I don't know what to tell you. Figure it out or hide it or pretend it doesn't exist. But right now, because of the paradigm shift, because we're understanding that there's this intangible and tangible world, and that bridging them or moving them, maybe we don't ever bridge them, but we sort of move them back and forth between the spaces to find the middle. So it's like a balancing act perhaps between the two, right? That I think that we're starting to understand how to utilize our emotions and to accept and honor the dark. We call them dark emotions, the shadow side, to accept the shadow side, right? To be able to say we all have it. We all have that feeling of sadness. Everybody experiences sadness in their life. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care who you were raised in. I don't care what kind of house you live in. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Nobody's gonna escape it, right? We all go through it. Everybody experiences the full spectrum of emotion. If you saw our, it's like this. If we were a crystal, okay, and we shine the light in the crystal, we see different spectrums of color. We're like, oh, look at that. There's a ton of color in this crystal. It's still part of it. And we have darker colors in the crystal, right? We have very, very, very dark colors in there. So we are like crystals and we reflect emotion, right? That's our reflection. So if you thought of it that way, you could say, oh, I'm the crystal. What emotion I reflecting into the world? If we saw manifestation like that, I mean, literally that would be, amazing. If people saw themselves, walked around and said, okay, I'm a crystal. I'm a reflection of light. And so, what is my light that I'm reflecting? Well, light itself is not tangible. We can't grab light, right? We could hold on to the crystal that's reflecting the light, but we can't grab the light that comes out of it. Our hands just sort of go through it. But that's the emotion reflecting out. We still see some color. We still see something happening. So the emotions are sort of like your body's like the filter or the crystal of this sort of paint, and everybody has it, the same spectrum. The rainbow doesn't change. Right? It might express itself a little differently. Like sometimes we see half a rainbow, or sometimes we see just a little specks of this color, a little that color. But and then sometimes we see the full rainbow, right, in its fullness. So if you thought of emotion like that, like sometimes we have anger, sometimes we have that. And if you look at it, if you looked at the emotions, they all have a color. So the chakra systems have a color, right? So think of yourself as the crystal that's reflecting light, and the emotion that's reflecting out through you is your color spectrum. And it's going to magnify or radiate or materialize towards you the light that you're shining out. And people talk about this in vibrational frequencies. Like they'll be like, oh, well, if you manifest this, it's because your frequency's here and people can feel your frequency. And it's kind of hard to think of it on a frequency level, because it's like, well, that's frequency to me is a noise. It's a hum. It's a mm. I'm like, oh, am I humming at mm, or am I humming at mm? Where am I humming? But if we saw ourselves as light, right, and we saw ourselves as a crystal reflecting the light, then we can say, oh, what color am I today? And they put emotion in color. Anger is red, right? Anger is always red. Maybe emotion is blue, right? When we're sad or depressed or whatever, it's blue, you know? Maybe joy is purple, It's like, what color are you today? What color are you reflecting in the world? And perhaps that light frequency that we reflect out sort of matches the light frequency of other individuals. And then we come together and have a little party, mingle together, create goals together, or we fight or whatever. We just attract, right? Or we attract the other side of us, the opposite of us. So, I mean, there's more to it, of course, obviously, but think of yourself as a crystal today. I think that's the easiest way to sort of understand that we have this intangible emotion moving through us. We can't touch it, but we do reflect it out. It does show up on the external. Like I can look at somebody and know that something's not, just their face is reflected in their face. It's reflected in their body movements. It's reflected in their tone of voice. It's reflected in, it comes out. So if someone's angry, the reflection, even people turn red in their face when they're angry, right? So you can see it when someone's angry. You're like, oh, so they ain't very happy. And then you can see it. And then you can ask them and they might say no. But internally, you know that energy doesn't lie. And you're like, well, you're red. And I see red as anger. So I think there's some anger going on. Or, when someone's happy and joyful, you can see it on their face. They wear it. They're reflecting it into the external. It's an invitation also for others. I'm shining like a diamond. Ooh, girl, I like that, Betty. Shine bright like a diamond. Oh, man, I think you brought this karaoke here without even knowing it. It's just your essence of showing up here. Oh, that's awesome. I love this coffee. It's so good today. I'm so glad that I feel better. Okay, so yes, shine bright like a diamond today. Um, shine as bright as the sun. Good morning, allow your crystal self to reflect the radiant spectrum of the rainbow. Okay? Good morning, iron and roll. Iron and roll. Iron and roll. Is this like
That's a law firm, isn't it?
my mom's so cute. It's a law firm. I don't know. Iron and roll, are you a law firm?
Is it?
I don't know. It sounds like it might be a place that does ironing and then rolling and then rolling rolling
Rolling the
tortillas.
boat.
No, I was like rolling tortillas and ironing clothes. I don't know. That's the visual I got. Sorry. Um, I don't know. They haven't responded.
Freezing out there.
My mama chimes in to Spirit and Coffee. I love it. It's so cute. So you guys shine bright like a diamond today. I love that, Betty. You're right. Shine bright like a diamond. And you could do a little dance with it. And then you could be like, I'm shining what? What am I shining? I'm shining joy. I'm shining happiness. Or you'd be like, I'm shining anger and frustration. Again, the dark emotions, right? They call them dark emotions, shadow emotions. Not bad either, right? Frustration, shame, depression, all of those things are part of the spectrum. When we learn how to get through those spectrums, when we understand how to get through the rainbow, then we can start to understand how to alchemize like an alchemist, right? I'm a spiritual alchemist. That's what I call myself. Well, what are you? Are you spirit? Are you this? I'm an alchemist, spiritual alchemist, meaning that we don't deny anything that comes to us. We merely utilize everything and we stir up a potion in us to create something new, right? It's the same ingredients, but we brew something new every time. New way of looking at the world, a new perspective. We work with our emotions. We go through the dark emotions. We understand that these depressions or the rejection or the anger or the frustration are powerful allies of ours to what? To help the fire energy get into action. The emotional state allows that fire to rise up within us and then to move forward and spring up action within us. It gives us the action, right? It's the intangible thing inside us that helps us to move our vessel forward, right? Or shine the light of the spectrum to create a masterpiece, if you want to see it that way. We are the masterpiece. We are molding or putting together the masterpiece of our life. So you could be full spectrum, or you could be like one ray of light just radiating a certain color. Okay. So hopefully that helps. I mean, that's an analogy I just came up with, and I'm actually kind of like, I could do a chart. I always get these models in my head, and I'm like, ooh, I can create a model that kind of depicts what I'm talking about in terms of the vessel, and that we can radiate and shine through. So go out and shine bright like a diamond today. Um, Allow your stellar energy. So you be the crystal and allow your stellar body to radiate the light through you, okay, which is your emotional state. And then you be the beautiful rainbow. You be you're, so again, you're the star, you're the crystal, and you're the rainbow. Nothing is disconnected or disjointed. You're all of those things at once. And you get to radiate your beautiful, beautiful rainbows across the world, which I would love to see everybody's rainbows shining all over the place. That would make me very happy to see everybody's rainbows, you know? Wouldn't that be cool if we just like stood in the sun and then like the sun radiated through our chakras and then like showed our rainbow and what it looks like? That'd be pretty cool, right? I don't know. Go stand out the sun and visualize that the sun's moving through you and shining out your rainbow of emotion. uh, okay, so there you have it. Beautiful talk. And thank you guys for good morning, Marvelous. Good morning, Lee John Lindy. Iron and Roland Iron didn't tell me what was going on with that. I'll just think you're right. Oh, here we go. Hi, it's a motorcycles, music, art. I earned because of the bike. Oh, rock and roll. Oh, got it. Okay, okay. I interview musicians, artists, celebrities who share those three passions as well. Ooh, that sounds fun. Motorcycles. I like motorcycles, I like music, and I like art. I don't ride a motorcycle. I used to write music, and I am totally not an artist, but I'm an admirer of great art. And I have a ton of art in my room. That's all I have. So there you go. That sounds fun. And rock and roll. I'm a rocker first. So there you go. Now you all know about me. Rock music, my favorite music. But like old school classical rock, right? Thanks for sharing that. Warmest regards from San Juan, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico. Under the stars, hold me tonight. La 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 la. Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry if that's like terrible singing. I just remember that movie. We used to watch it, Salsa. You're probably like, yeah, no, that's not really a depiction of Puerto Rico, but okay. Um, that was my best that I could do. Okay, so there you have it. I love you guys, and oh my god, it's funny. And then I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. Thank you for showing up. Shine bright like a diamond. And you guys live your passion. Just keep doing what you're doing. Life is too beautiful, right? We have this opportunity to really hone in and tap into our greatest joys. And you guys all have the ability to do that. And you're doing it. And it makes me so happy. So have a wonderful day. Cheers to you. Hopefully, you have your coffee. And I will be seeing you guys mañana. Ah, there you go. Have a great day and bye.